Sube el volumen.
Upbox.
Tiene algo enorme para ti.
Si te ofrecen droga, te van a decir que se siente bien padre, que te vas a reír.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Are you nervous?
I am. I'm definitely nervous.
I think we're good. We're going to be fine. So John here. John here is my friend. Do you want to go by your first name or your whole name?
You know, it's funny because having the name John, everybody's always talking about like, oh, Jon Salazar. They always say my full name. And even with anything, people are always saying my full name. And so I definitely hear that, but
Jon
John's
Salazar?
cool. No, John. Just John. My full name is Jonathan, actually.
Okay. You know what? Because I have met a lot of people that are like, well, my name is just like John. I was like, are you sure? Like your parents really just said John.
Yeah. It's
not Jonathan. Fuck
Jonathan. That. Jonathan without, because every time I say my name is John, it's John with the H, John anything like it. There's no other way, but
it's Jon. That's very signature of you.
I live 2 John lives with 3 lives total.
Okay, for sure. For sure. I like that. But John here is a dear friend of mine. And we met like, I want to say like maybe 3 years ago, maybe 4. Just
to me,
kidding.
it feels
I have no
longer.
idea.
Yeah,
you think
longer.
so?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, like John here knew my boyfriend before. You knew Jacob before. Yeah. And they worked the same job. But anyways, John and I got to know each other. And John is just this incredible artist. I can't even put you in a category because you just do so much. You do photography, you do film, you do print. I know I collect a lot of your print personally, and you just do so much. So I would say like multidisciplinary, or how would you describe yourself?
I mean, if you were to categorize it, I'd hope it'd be that, because I was just telling you that the ceramic thing is the new thing that I'm trying to do.
Wait, hold on. I want you to expand on that because I thought that was like a perfect idea. What? Let's all do this.
So when quarantine happened, we got the stimulus check, and I started to think like, okay, cool. What can I do with this money besides survive? So I always, before quarantine happened, I always flirted with the idea, which I continue to do now. Like, I'm not embarrassed to say, of like, when I'm done with this job, like, what do I do? Or I just need more time so I can get more time to get myself to the place I want to be, which is like a more developed artist, I guess.
Yeah.
So I've always liked the idea of working in the digital realm, because when I take photos, I shoot with film, and I've always liked the analog side of things, like collecting old cameras, collecting old VHS stuff. And I was really influenced by visual artists and stuff like that, people who do the visuals, just this like kind of vibrant or even kind of organic feeling flow of digital images. Like, just digital clouds to me are like so cool to me, because it almost like is something that people can be like, I know what that is, but and they take it as is, but it's like, hey, that's not even real. So if you can kind of make something like that, I think that's great. So I was always really influenced by that, and I just like, I need to learn how to do that. I want to learn how to do that because I have this compulsion to just try to learn anything I'm influenced by. So I took that time when quarantine happened. It was like a smack in the face, of course, with everybody. Some people handled it, some people didn't. Definitely. But it was like, you like use this time. So I built a PC, I did a lot of visual stuff, and I got to learn that, and I was really happy about that. But all of a sudden you become drowned in it. So
Most
now,
definitely.
Right.
I think like during quarantine, like things just got, I was going to ask you too, like things just got really weird during those times. And I was going to ask you like what you did during quarantine and how you like, how do I say, like juggled the idea of like these ceramics or like any of that kind of like, oh, well, I can like reach into different realms.
Ceramics is new. Yeah, the ceramics is new. This is like a new thing. I've done ceramics in school, like in high school back in the day.
Yeah.
But it was just something about having something tangible again, because I've been like, I have an office space in my apartment and it's all laid out. I have 2 separate desks. I have to baker's racks that have like everything organized. I have like a space, and I work in like a circle.
Tell me why
Um,
though. Like I've looked into because I personally, you guys know, I like print. And I know that you know because we talked about it a lot. Where I was like, I collect print. I would love to continue doing print. And I was like, damn, like when you told me about these baker's racks, because I
it's the
remember
move.
I really wanted to get into it. And I was like, damn, like John's really doing it though. And he's telling me like he has his baker's racks and like he has like all this stuff to like put everything together. And I was like, damn, let's look into this. Baker's racks are expensive. How did you
Yeah,
even like get
well,
those?
if you look on like Craigslist or some shit, people are always giving shit
Damn.
away. Like that's how I find
True,
out
true.
because baker racks, like people don't want to disassemble them. So then all of a sudden you're kind of like, I'll
Mm,
take that off your hands. Like
that's
doesn't
true.
matter.
A lot of people will just rather give things away,
Yeah,
honestly.
totally,
So,
totally. And so that's how I accumulate a lot of things. Is just kind of
yeah.
like, yeah, I don't have a lot of money, so I'm trying to just,
Yeah, you
I'm
got to
low
work with
key
what you
kind of like
got.
hoarding anything. I'm like, oh, I can possibly use this. Then
Hmm.
I'm gonna just like put it on my baker's rack. And
Dude,
then when I don't have enough
definitely.
space, get another baker's rack.
Oh, there you go. I think you just have to work with what you have. A lot of
Yeah.
people like always ask, how do you get started with this? Like, how do you get,
Mhm.
I've had a lot of people like reach out to me and be like, how do I get started with podcasts? Like, I don't really have money. Like, they ask me, what mics do you use? What like software do you use? Whatever, like camera wise. And I mean, a lot of these stuff like we did invest like money into and stuff, but like you don't have to have these things to start where it's like you can literally start on your iPhone. I remember one episode we had our power went out. So like my power went out because of like ComEd or some shit. And then we were just like, fuck, because then the camera battery ran out.
Yeah.
And then we just recorded on the iPhone. So we're just like, fuck it.
Candle lit and
No, for real.
everything.
Scary stories. But then we had that. And then we just worked with what we had. You can use your phone. You can use your microphone and shit like that. And like iMovie's free if you have like an Apple product and stuff like
Totally.
that. So what would you recommend like if someone were to start, because let's just go dive into just your film era and
Cool.
like that stuff. What would you recommend like if someone was just starting? How did you start? Because I know that you started really young.
Yeah. I was grateful. Well, to track back real quick on kind of like the creative spurt of like how that started was my dad was always kind of a handyman. So in the sense of it wasn't an actual baker's rack, but it was like just he had stuff around. He's just like,
Hmm.
I'll use that. And it's almost like this controlled chaos of like, oh, it might look like a mess, but if you ask me where everything is, I can find it. And so
Right.
he knew how to do a lot of things, but he knew how to do one thing artistically very well, and that was draw. And so
Mm.
he would sit my brother and I. That's like one of the few memories I have as a young kid that kind of stuck with me. And maybe it's just because I've talked about it frequently, but it's just that he would sit us down and we would just draw, and he would just be like, draw the water tank, or like
He
draw
almost
the
give you like
person.
little assignments.
Yeah, yeah, or just like, and then we would do that, and then growing up, my grandma would babysit us, so I'd see my cousins, and
Hmm.
then so I had a cousin named Gio. Shout out to Gio Cantu, best. He was very creative in the sense of that my brother's 4 years older than me, so he kind of had access to like comic books and mangas, and so he would draw from that, and that's kind of how I started to learn how to like do shading and all this stuff from him,
Ooh.
just to try to mimic that. And so I started to do all that stuff. But then as we got a little older, Gio, my brother, and my other cousins, we would do home videos and just to kind of like record a bunch of shit and then like play it back and just like die
Just be
laughing.
like, this was fucking sick. Let's
Yeah,
do
I
it
even
again.
enjoy it now. I'm like, man, we were on some shit. That's how it totally works.
I've gone through a rabbit hole of your work. Don't think I didn't do a little research on you because I did, but I went through
Lurking.
this rabbit hole of your home videos and how you were bringing them back into like your current work,
Yeah.
which I thought was really sick. There was this one video that you had of, I think you were just like it was like there's music playing in the background and you were like laughing. You were saying something and then you got hit really hard with the pillow or something. But it was like
Oh,
such a
yeah, yeah.
beautiful like piece that I was like, wow, I'm going to share this on the Instagram.
That's
Like later
cool.
when your
That's cool,
episode comes
man.
on, I'm going to share that one because it was really good. But how did you get into taking your old film from like when you were a child into now wanting it to almost resurface? Like why would you have that happen?
Um, Let me think. I always had access to like a home video camera. So like video stuff, that was my primary like drive. That was what I wanted to do.
You want to do film.
Yeah. I wanted to
Ooh.
be a cinematographer, so like how everything was laid out and
Yeah.
everything. And um so we would always do home videos, and then post home videos, hanging out with my friends, we would do like little skate videos and just do everything. And I always had this Sony High 8 camera. And then I had all this footage of like us as kids, and I didn't know what to do with it. And the one you're referencing is actually shot by my dad. In the original video, he shot it sideways. So
Oh.
then I was supposed to act like I was holding on to a wall and then like falling down. Like
You
it's so
have a
sick.
couple of them. There was one that I watched and it made no sense, but I was like, you know what? As long as this is a good memory for him, that's all that matters. It was like a robber comes in.
Yeah, no, it was America's Most Wanted. Like it's supposed to be like a CCTV surveillance,
Footage.
yeah, footage. And so the idea was that we had someone fully masked up, still with the mask on, with a jumpsuit on, complete disguise, but then they just had a hat on. So then they would walk in, and so they're talking about like, here is an unsuspected person coming in and
Yeah.
buying the stuff, leaving, and they're like, hours later, that same person comes in full disguise, and the only difference is that he has the hat off. And then like that to me is still fucking funny right
Yeah.
now. Yeah,
It was just like kid stuff that who
yeah,
was
so
that
funny.
adult? Because it was definitely an
That was
adult
my
that was playing
brother,
that.
Dan.
Oh.
I know,
Was he an
right?
adult though?
I mean, no, they're 4 years older than me, so no. But my brother was a little bigger back then, and so it definitely like I guess he encapsulated the whole character right
Oh,
there.
okay. The
Yeah.
CC camera was supposed to be up here. Maybe that's why I thought it was like an adult. Because I was like,
Well, yeah,
what?
Gio was filming and narrating at the same time.
Okay,
And so
okay.
he was just kind of like standing there and being like, and then this is the person, because that's how the person talked,
Yeah.
America's Most Wanted back then. And then just narrating it. And that's to me like a lot of me growing up. What I didn't know I had taken a lot of is Gio's humor that was input in with his creativity.
Right.
Yeah, he
Dang.
was very quick and smart and all that. And he was
Mhm.
a very, I wouldn't say reserved, but he was definitely quiet on the side. And as I got older, I kind of cherished that because I was like, wow, I got to see that. And when I saw that video and it just kind of resurfaced, I
Those
would say for the
memories.
world, yeah, the memories, then I was like, that's still funny to me. It's so dumb. It's so silly. And I
It's like
was,
kid stuff, but I
yeah,
feel like
totally.
from those kid like memories, it really does something to your spirit over
Yeah,
like this is what I want to do. Like I want to emulate those feelings now that I'm older, however I can with like film or photography
totally.
or
I
whatever.
I just wanted to share it. Yeah. And to
Yeah.
like answer that back then, it's just like, I finally found a way as I got like as a teenager I was like you can get like an adapter to just hook up to your computer and just get like old family footage, and that's how a lot of people archive stuff now, which I was
Hmm.
happy that I did now because then now I have digital files of like everything, and I love archiving stuff or cataloging everything I do, or
Yeah.
even if I'm not going to put it out, it's just like that was an era or that was whatever, like it's just
I
like a baker's rack, it's just
definitely. I think it's crazy if that like you as a child
mm,
archive those things. We're like, wow, I want to make sure that like maybe later on, even if you don't even think that like, oh, I'm recording this so later on like I can watch it and stuff. But you as an adult now having those like
yeah.
memories,
You want to know why?
that's insane.
Is so my parents came here from Mexico when they were like preteens, and I think my mom was like 9.
Where were they from?
My dad was from San Luis Potosi, and
Mm.
then I always forget my mom's from. I'll cut back to this.
Okay. I've been through San Luis Potosí. It's a
Let's
nice
go.
place. It's a nice area.
I only went when I was a kid. It's crazy how I feel so guilty because I'm so like I haven't been to Mexico in so long.
Do you have a passport?
Yes,
Oh,
I do.
maybe
So
we got to take it too.
take me.
Oh, we'll take a little trip, little tour.
A tour, that'd be great.
That would be really cool.
Yeah,
You'd have
that'd
to
be
go with
awesome.
like someone that knows.
It's true.
You'll go with me. You know what? We'll
That's what
take
I
it
was-
through. We'll take it through your place, and then we'll go through my place, and then we'll just road trip. That'll be
That'd
cool.
sick. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be super fun. But no, I really want to do that. We're marking that because I haven't been in
Let's do it.
so long. It's probably since I was like 10, maybe younger.
Mhm.
Is like the last time I went.
I think it would be really cool for you to like revisit that and almost like get to experience it for the first time again.
Yeah.
Now as an
totally.
adult, because you can remember shit.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I feel like I can fully engulf it because back then I just I was so washed out like when I was a kid, you know? It was like I just want to play games and I'm just kind of
Mhm.
like
Just kid
I don't know
stuff.
what to do. Yeah.
Do you have
yeah,
cousins
totally.
over there?
No, well, yeah, I guess I do have distant family, but there's like no contact, especially like on my mom's side. My mom had kind of like a harder upbringing, so
Yeah.
she's kind of like removing, not necessarily like that part of her, but just like distancing herself from family. But my dad is the person who's definitely really close knit, but still like they even haven't traveled out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's different. It's very
Mhm.
different.
Definitely. Definitely. If you haven't been in a long time,
Yeah.
it's a lot of things change. But yeah, like your parents migrated when they were teens. Did they
Mhm.
meet over there though?
No, their love stories kind of funny. They met here. So my grandpa would go to California all the time when they were still in Mexico and
Yeah.
work. And then so my dad lived in California for a little bit. So then I could have lived in California, which is pretty
That would have been
crazy. I was
sick.
stored
Damn.
up in there, ready to come out in California.
You could have been
years
steezy,
later.
but you're here. But you
It's
ended up
okay.
in
I'm happy to be
Indiana.
here. I'm ended up, yeah, we'll get to that. Not my choice, but
So they definitely met here in the US.
yeah, they met. So you know how everybody kind of knows each other. So like when they knew people who knew people, so my dad was kind of always around, and my dad was kind of like my dad's very sweet, endearing, would give anything to people, and he knows a lot of stuff. He's just pretty quick and he's pretty handy. So
Yeah.
and he was a mechanic, and then so I guess like the families kind of knew each other. But what I've been told was how I guess my dad asked my mom out, which is kind of this unofficial thing, but they were at a Valentine's Day garage dance. And yeah, it
What?
was just like in East Chicago, that's where they met. And then there was the garage, and then they're all like, everybody's dancing for Valentine's Day. And my dad goes up to my mom and kicks her on the leg and was like, "You want to dance?" And at first, I believe my mom was like, "Who the fuck is this? Like, get the fuck out of here!" You know, like she's like,
She was
I
a
don't even
lady.
know. Yeah, I don't even know if she's playing hard to get. It was just like whole like my mom's very tough, so she's
Ooh.
like, yeah, she's awesome, she's the best. And after a while, she's like, okay, gave in. And then my mom was kind of this like free spirited, like she's going out, doing her thing, rebelling, you know.
Mhm.
And my dad was kind of a little bit more of the traditional in the sense of just like family oriented, like always want to be around family. But then he started to go to her house.
Oh,
Yeah, and then so
that's
she
where it
was like,
starts.
"Yo, he wouldn't leave me alone. I couldn't do anything." So she gave in, but I think it's really sweet because he was like, "You want to go out to like, can I take you to get food or something?" And she's like, "All right, fine, I'll give in." Like, yeah, okay. So he had his
Aw.
cool old school Malibu car, and they went to Burger King drive-through, and he's all ecstatic because he's not even thinking of where they are. He's just like looking like, "Do you want anything?" And she's like,
Oh.
no. And he ate a sandwich, so stoked to be around her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I still see that now, so it's really nice to kind of have
That is
that.
so sweet.
But they didn't have I didn't know much about their childhood rather than like what they would tell me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I wish I had some kind of, because I was early on, I knew I was kind of like visually oriented. I wanted something to kind of be like, oh yes, like
To
that's sick, that's awesome,
yeah.
and maybe to influence me in one direction or anything. But
Mhm.
I didn't have anything like that. So I definitely remember making a promise to myself to be like, just keep everything. Because if you have a family, they're going to be loaded with like, wow, like I can see you in this phase, I can see you in that phase. Like you're just like
Oh,
me, and kind of level set with
yeah.
them immediately.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think like you even taking that in as young as you were
Yeah.
and being like, well, I have to archive things.
Yeah.
That is insane because I think if I could go back and be like, oh, I wish I could have archived everything and I had this mindset so I could have it now as an adult,
Yeah.
I would have loved that shit, But now so you know that like my family house like it burnt down like way back when, and then we lost a lot of home videos and stuff
Mhm.
like that, and I think about that all the time where it
Right.
was like, man, I wish I could do like a little video snippet or I could do something with kind of like those past memories, and I don't have those anymore, which is why now I feel like that really stemmed. I feel like the collecting print and all that kind of stuff like stemmed from that, where it's like now I want to take pictures of everything. I want to video everything.
Totally. Yeah.
And it just comes from that. But like you having such a collective of things that you had growing up, I
Mm.
think that's really sick.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for it for sure. Because it's also like a thing where if I ever to have kids, I could really just get like on the same plane as them and to be
Yeah.
like, it's okay if you're feeling this way. It's okay if you feel like like if you feel like you're alone, like I was definitely like going through that. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to kind of deliver it as like, look, I was going through that, but like maybe
Mm-hmm.
they'll find it, or it'll be there and it'll be a reference for them to be like, there is a constructive way to handle
Mm-hmm.
these emotions that you're
Right.
dealing with. So it's like put your best foot forward, like you're not alone. And yeah.
Oh my God. I love that. I love that for you. And that's, you know what? Have your parents ever like archived your clothes?
Yeah,
No
yeah,
way.
totally. I
I think
have
that is
this, yeah,
so
there's like
sick.
this tiny belt that they kept from me. They bronze my shit. Do you have your stuff bronze, or did they get lost
No,
too?
no,
Yeah,
we don't
okay.
really have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it's so sick when people are like, "Oh, I saved your childhood clothes for your kids one day."
Mm. I
What?
don't think they did that. It's
But you
crusty
have but
looking.
but you still have these things to look back on.
Yeah, when I visit at home, there's like this drawers set that's got some like extra clothes that they're using, but on the very bottom one, they have like old diapers of mine. Some I don't know if there's boots in there. I want to feel like there's small boots. Maybe
What
I'm
are these
imagining that.
bronze things?
But no, there's like people bronze shoes. Like your toddler shoes, your infant shoes, they bronze them, so they're just like, yeah, and it's like a plaque. Like, yeah,
Oh, are they
that's
crusty or are they still
no,
good?
those are pretty in prime condition still. Those are pretty good.
You know what? The only thing I think I have though that I love is and they are a little like, oh, how do I say it? Uh like from the fire, they're ashy. What the fuck is the word? Not singed, but they have this almost like
Frayed?
ash. I have
No,
no
ash.
idea, but it's like on this image, and we would go to Florida every single year. As a kid, we would have like a summer vacation. We would go to Florida, and we would go to this one place where we had our pictures taken, and
Yeah,
it was like those take an old timey photo of your
totally.
family. And
You did that?
yeah, so my family
Damn.
did that one year, and then we have those images. I might have been like maybe 10 years old, maybe less. I think less. Probably like around 6 or 7, and it was my family. Like everyone had this like
What was the
antique
theme?
garb. It was like it was giving colonizer.
Oh,
Like I don't even know how to describe it. Maybe I'll
yeah,
post
like
some pictures.
Western, like
Yeah, like
yeah,
oldie like a western, like my dad was holding this like big gun, and we had like
yeah,
fans and shit like that. And I remember because like my little sister, she was like standing next to us and she was really little, like maybe 3. So
yeah.
I might have been like 6. And it was really full circle for me because later on, when we were teenagers, we went to that same place and we had those pictures taken again. And it was really funny because they had the exact same set. Like they had the exact same like piano background, and it had been
Was it
like
the same
years.
place?
Yes, it was the exact same
That's
place.
impressive.
And then we put the pictures side by side, and it was like this family like aging photo
Oh, it's
where
kind of creepy.
yeah, it was. It's kind of a little creepy because it was like a sepia tone too.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So, but it was the same like background and stuff, and it made it look like it was like a home, like we were in front of this fireplace and stuff. So that to me is kind of like the only thing that I carried from like childhood to now, where it was like you see the like me as a child and like me progress, even if it was like this fake like backdrop scenario or whatever.
That's surreal that the one thing that like has stayed with you is like this thing that kind of never happened, but it's still archiving like
yes.
you. Yeah. So it's like a ghost photo because nothing changed except for you.
Yes. But like in my real life, everything did change. What?
It's all written in the back. It's all, yeah.
No, they're pretty cool. But I do have those pictures, and the old ones are a little like rinky dinky or whatever, but the new ones are pretty cool. And I
That's it.
told my parents, I was like, I want to go back when all of us are like older, and like let's say some of us have kids. We're not there yet. I told them like in 10 years, let's come back. I might have been like 16. So
Coming
it's coming
close.
up. I know,
Yeah.
but no one has kids yet, so we
Well,
might
then
have to
you
wait.
still got to do it. No, you still got to do it.
You think so?
Yeah, because then all of a sudden, even if someone has kids, they'll be aged. So it's kind of like, what the
That's
fuck?
true.
You know?
Because like my sister's getting married
Yeah.
this year, so then we'll have a new edition.
There it
Ooh.
is.
And then yeah, it'll just continue. I really, really hope though that they still have the same backdrop.
That'd be cool.
That
You
would
should
be really
contact
cool.
them and be like, hey, I'm
Hello, do
looking
you
at
still have this?
You
But
have the whole model number and everything. You just- yeah,
right?
the serial number.
That would be hilarious. If not, I'll just Photoshop it.
Tech
It'd be
savvy,
easy.
yeah.
There you go.
Why not do
Technology
that
now.
here? Oh, I guess that's kind of a lot of effort with the costumes and everything.
Yeah, like the old timey costumes.
Yeah.
Or I could find their page and
Just find their
see.
manufacturer and all this stuff. Like, take it over.
Okay, I might be doing too much if I do
Yeah.
all that though,
Yeah.
but that would be really cool. But hold on, I'm gonna go back to what you were saying.
Well, can I ask first where in Florida? Because growing up, that's where I went. Like a lot of, I remember hearing on your podcast and stuff like that. You have a lot of like people would go back to Mexico and guys talk about that. And
Yeah.
I wish I had that because I don't feel like I've immersed myself in that anymore. I definitely feel like apart from it. And
From your
that's-
culture,
yeah,
you're saying? Okay.
yeah, it's definitely something I want to put myself back in because I feel like damn.
You
dude.
feel like you've lost that. So like are you first gen though, or are you second?
So, well, if you born here, then I like if you officially think about it, yeah, I'm first gen
Mm-hmm.
because my parents were born in Mexico. They grew up there when they were kids, and then they came over here,
Yeah.
and then so I'm officially first gen
Right.
in that sense. Yeah,
But you feel like you kind of lost that. Is that because of the place you grew up in? Because you
Yeah.
did grow up in Indiana, so
Yeah.
very Midwestern.
yeah, I grew up in Northwest Indiana in Lake County, so we got like Chicago papers, Chicago news, and all that stuff.
Mhm.
So we still kind of knew what was going on. But that, yeah, we grew up in North Indiana in Lake County, and it wasn't like what after I tell people like I originally grew up in Indiana, it is
Mhm.
always this stigma, which is true.
What's the stigma though?
Like very just like Southern hillbilly style kind of
What?
like
I've never gotten that from
Really?
people from Indiana. I think my view of people from there, because I only know like two other people from there, and
Totally.
it was like everything's very like small town, like outdoorsy, but like not much going on. I wouldn't
Yeah,
say
it's
like
definitely not
hillbilly,
much
though.
going on. Yeah. Well, yeah, where I grew up, it was definitely just like very suburban.
Okay.
Like just like suburban, very quiet, not much going on, and
Mhm.
just kind of there.
Yeah.
Just kind of stagnant, if that's like the best word I could think of right now. But I forgot why I was even talking about this.
Oh, hold on.
I keep leaning back.
You're good. But we were talking about you losing that sense of.
Oh, yeah. And I think it's just like my parents coming over here, my family just kind of wanting the best for us. Maybe it was like a whole
Maybe it was like
culmination
assimilation.
of like, just like I'm just trying to adapt. And then I had an older brother who was adapting too. So I was just in the beginning, I was just kind of like following on their steps.
Yeah.
And then
I think that happens a lot. Like
Yeah.
when I know a lot of people that say like, oh, well, my parents came here. I don't want my kids to be made fun of because of the language or like any accents or the way that we live. So let's just be as American as possible.
Yeah. It's like they in the beginning, which I feel so bad about, in the sense of in the beginning they try to teach us Spanish. We grew up that they would talk to us, but like nothing stuck with me. So I'm like embarrassed with the amount of Spanish that I know and can understand and just like talk with. And it's like never something I want to like bring up, because it's like, fuck, like I have to go through this whole explanation of like, why don't you know Spanish? You know?
Right.
Like,
I think there is like this huge, I think we talked before on the pod where like there's a stigma of like the no sabo kid, and people like make fun of the person, and it's just like, oh, you don't know Spanish, but like
yeah,
whatever.
that's me.
But I understand, but it's like a lot of people, like when they grow up here, they don't have like, you grow up here and Spanish is your first language, at least you try, but then you go off to school and to these American like public school systems, and then all they teach you is English.
Yeah.
So you go home and you spend most of your life in school, at least from your formative years. So you losing that Spanish, like I understand how that happens, you know? And I understand when parents are like, well, it's just better if they assimilate to the American culture because like that's where they are and that's how they're going to thrive. So I get it. And I don't think that's something you should feel embarrassed about. But now as an adult, like you recognizing that, like do you think you would want to maybe like, oh, like I'm gonna pick it back up, or I'm gonna try?
Totally. Yeah. Even with my current partner right now, it's like this whole thing of like, because she's in a similar boat, I'm pretty sure she knows more Spanish than I do, but it's like, let's just practice, talking Spanish with each other and all that stuff like that.
Oh, that's kind of cute.
It'd be cool. I like that, because it's like, we can just kind of talk to each other and be like,
yeah, and there's no like that judgment because you guys are both in the same boat.
Totally.
Oh,
Yeah. I asked my parents, I always used to be like, well, why didn't you like talk to us in Spanish more? And my mom would always have the same response of, oh, we just didn't think that you wanted to learn. And I was like, I was a kid. Like I was like just thinking about eating 3D Doritos and just playing PlayStation. Like I don't like, I was just trying to do whatever my older cousins were doing and my brother. So it's like, yeah, I didn't really know that.
I think you also have to understand it from like a parent perspective, where it's like, well, I just kind of want the best for them, but I also don't know what they want because they're kids.
Yeah. At the time, they were working a lot. And yeah, I can now as an adult, like our relationship, like I wouldn't say like changed, but it flourished. Like I have a great relationship. I'm fortunate and super grateful to have a really great relationship with my parents.
Both of them?
Yes.
Nice.
They're still together. And growing up skateboarding, that was kind of like another outlet that I had that led to a lot of different creative endeavors I had. I would see friends coming from broken homes and just a lot of stuff like that. And there were points where I felt guilty because I was like, I can't talk about like my parents because I wanted to be considerate and mindful that like they might not be going through the similar things.
Right.
So it was definitely like a twist. And at first I was like, oh, wow. But then now I was like thinking about it all as I've gotten older. I'm grateful because like I would like reference their relationship into my stuff for like long-term things. Not entirely, but it's just like the main
you
thing.
You have a good blueprint of what it is that you might want. Yeah. And I think I really relate to that because, growing up, and divorce is like on the rise, right? So I personally, like, when I met Jacob, his family, and like he's always talked about like his parents, like they come from a long line of divorce and stuff like that. And in our culture, like this Mexican culture, like divorce really is not talked about, and no one really goes through it. If anything, like I don't think anyone's been divorced in my family. Like they've been like separated, but like divorce, like it's not a thing.
That's
So sometimes when my friends would be like, oh, well, my parents, like they're divorced, they're separated. Same thing. Like I would feel like, well, I don't really want to talk about my parents because, I want to be considerate to you and your situation and stuff like that. So I think you having to go through that as a kid and understanding that, like, I want to be considerate, like, that's pretty big of you,
Oh.
Those are big feelings. And I think it's crazy because
Kind of felt guilty. Like,
yeah.
I was like, damn, should I like, because there, of course, it wasn't like nothing is perfect and it wasn't great,
Right.
but like my parents were still together. But I think, there's just a lot of things. My dad got like really sick, and I think that kind of like stitched things even more, like solidified it all.
Yeah.
But you talking about, because in my family, like my parents, I would say like are the best off in like
in your family too. Why is it always?
I'm not trying to like throw people like that, but like I'm just being real in the sense of like we got old. It was like everybody had kids at the same time, and it was like about the kids, and that totally was. Now when I got older, I was like, you're just throwing a curtain over like everybody's marital problems in the households because you just focus on the kids. But now the kids got older.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, what do we do with ourselves now?
Yes.
And so some of it kind of got fucked.
Yeah.
But for some people for the better. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's interesting to see like the lifespan of everyone and like the stages everyone goes through. Like, same thing. My family, at least my dad's side of the family, they all live in the same area of like where we are back home. My mom used to live in Elgin, Illinois, and then when she met my dad was like, it's common where it's like the woman goes and lives with the man where he stays. So like she went to go live with him. They used to live in this little trailer park, and that's where they had my older sister and stuff. And then my dad's family migrated to that same little town. So my mom had to kind of get immersed into his family because it's very typical where it's like the woman marries the man and then you marry into his family, right? So that's what was going on, and everyone kind of had their kids at the same eras, if you will. So that's why my cousins are all kind of like a little bit close in age and stuff like that, but we were the oldest. So then that was going on, and then everyone's like, okay, everything's about the kids, and all the kids now are like, everyone was kind of like older than like 20, so now I feel like my parents are trying to figure out what to do now that the kids are older. And how was that for you when like your parents were like, wow, like my kids are older, like they're moving out, they're leaving home, and both of you guys, like you guys aren't married and don't have kids, right? So that I'm sure it was really tough, because I know it's really tough for my parents. They have my little sister still living at home, but
like the empty nesting kind of thing.
The empty nest syndrome.
Yeah.
Your parents definitely have gone through that because you guys are both out.
Yeah, it's just my brother and I. I have an older brother, like I said, 4 years older, and it's just us two. And he moved away and kind of went out of state for a while. And then that was similar. That was like right before I moved out. And I moved out, I think I was like 21. A little like when I was after 21. I turned 21 and I'd gone to college for one semester for cinematography to just circle this back to the film thing. And I was like,
you said, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Maybe not like school.
I went to Columbia. So
no
there's
way.
a check. So I went to Columbia for one semester, and I overheard my parents talking about maybe getting a second job. And I said, no, fuck that. So I
Oh.
dropped out.
How old were you at that time?
This was right after high school. So like 19,
Yeah.
19, 20. Yeah, I was like 19 and then going into 20. And then I got a job for like a year. And my whole thing was like, I'm going to figure it out. And then I was like, I don't want to have them to have to worry about anything more. So
Excuse me.
I went to work, and then I would just like try to travel as much as I can. And I was like fixated on being like, if I can find somewhere I want to live that maybe like vibed with me or anything, then I was like, I'm just gonna go there and do it.
Yeah.
So that was like my mission for a year and a half.
To find a place that you feel like felt like you
Yeah.
could flourish in.
Totally. I was like, this is a great environment. I kind of like the scene out here, and I'm just gonna kind of go for it.
So being from East Chicago, Indiana, you
Well,
saw Chicago.
So East Chicago. So I grew up in East Chicago till I was like 7, and then I moved to Lake County in Cherville, actually. So Cherville. So East Chicago is near, like, I guess if you think of a map, everybody knows Gary. It's like kind of around that area. And then Cherville is a little bit more south. So Cherville is a lot more suburban. You'll see like 3 flats in East Chicago. That's actually like my grandparents live in like a similar architectural style building as like you'll see out here. But yeah, no, then I moved out to like the suburban, just like a house after that.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, to not mix people.
Yeah,
I don't want to feel like a
just so
fraud.
people can get like an idea.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but then you came here to Chicago, like, and you saw that
yeah.
this was kind of what you liked, what
Well,
you wanted. Or did you visit other places before?
Yeah, I hit up New York, of course, and then California, and then I had gone to Colorado, and where else did I go? I had like friends in school in Iowa, so I went to go see them, and then
So you jumped around a lot.
yeah,
But
yeah,
why
what I can
Chicago, though?
afford, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But Chicago is just because of the opportunity, like I was able to be transferred out from my current job into this new one, and then that was like something consistent for me to be like, okay, cool, like I hear that there's an opportunity in Chicago where like maybe I can help out with some other stuff
Right.
when it comes to like multimedia events and all that. So that was always like, that's not going to happen here. So I definitely want to do that. So I had been in between traveling and stuff like that. I'd been coming out here frequently because I had a couple friends who so graciously let me sleep on their couch like at nights and just like open their door to me. So then I literally jumped in an opportunity. I put my name in there, and then it worked out. And then it was just kind of like, okay, cool, like you're in. So I had to find a place to live and all this stuff. And I slept on a couch for like 3 months. Thank you guys so much. I can't even thank you. And definitely like had to have a fire burn under my butt because I was going to move in with somebody and it wasn't working out. And when it takes 2 people, it's super hard.
Yeah.
So then I finally got it to work out. And I've been here since. And
How long has it been?
7 or 8 years. Yeah. I'm
That's-
29 now. So it was like when I was already 21.
Yeah.
So yeah, like 7.5 years.
I would almost consider you a for real Chicagoan.
Damn. Can I get that?
The certified the check
I
mark.
never asked for that. I don't think I'm ever going to get, because people have like, it's very diehard. Midwestern
Yes.
style and all that. It's like,
Midwesterns,
you
yeah.
work for that shit.
Definitely.
Yeah, blue collar style.
Like, dude, if I would describe Chicago in a way, it's like, if it's one thing, Chicago's a hater before anything. Before anything, Chicago is a hater because people will not take you seriously. People will not fuck with you until you almost like prove yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I definitely got like, yeah, because we work for everything. Like, look, we all celebrate Chicago summer, and that's like people come out here for Chicago summers
Dude,
because like we
Chicago
work
summer?
for that shit.
prime.
Yeah.
Like that is the best time here.
Yeah.
I promise you. If you guys were to visit Chicago,
Yeah.
it would be the summertime. Winters, people are like, oh, I want to visit Chicago in the winter, but it's like, it's cute downtown for like a little bit, but then
2 weeks, not even.
Then after that, it's like done. But Chicago summers, unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree with that. We definitely work. It's like working for that. Like we're working for the summer just to celebrate, you know,
for like 2 months, because
I
Summerland's like
know.
it lasts 2 months, and all like right now, like winter, we got how many inches of snow? I have no idea, but it's just like all you can do is like fantasize about like, damn, in the summer, this is what I'm gonna do.
Totally. Yeah. And it's like working for something. It's like, I don't know, some people might be thinking that like, yeah, I work to celebrate in the summer. And so you just have to fucking grind that out throughout the winter because it's harsh. It's
Dude,
cold. It's messy. It's wet, sludge.
Definitely.
It's
Midwesterners love to work. Well, I don't want to say they love to work, but I think like they pride themselves in working hard.
It's this
and
work
enjoying.
hard, play hard balance.
Yes,
That's exactly
yes,
what it is.
Yes, definitely.
Because you get a lot of good dive, just like if you can go out to drink, like there's cool like dive bars that are just everywhere.
Damn, Midwesterners love to drink. They really do. They love a good dive bar. I love a good dive bar. But fuck, what was I gonna say? Well, I completely forgot what the fuck I was gonna talk about, but fuck, I did want to go back on what we were talking about, filmmaking and you being a photographer and doing all this like mixed media, because you do a lot of animation. And I like how you tie everything in that you do with each other, because you do video and then you do animation, you do audio animation, you just do all these different combinations of what you enjoy doing. And like, I like how you tie everything together.
Thank you. It's hard. Well, it's over the years trying to be hyper aware of like not wanting to lose one thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it started with video. I want to do video. I went to school for a semester, so I don't even count
like
that.
what did you go to Columbia for?
Yeah, I went to Columbia for cinematography and decided like it wasn't worth the money, because like this semester after our whole second semester, we were going to be making a documentary, and that was kind of like the core assignment.
Okay.
And I was like, am I going to pay like 15 grand to just make
this.
like a documentary and then have to pay for the documentary? Like the opposite. I was like thinking like, why not take the 15 grand and I didn't use it for anything. Yeah, it's not like I had access to that money.
See, but like that mentality, it's like you were very mature to have that mentality, because any other kid would be like, well, I'm going to go to Columbia, I'm going to do this, and 15 grand, yeah, I'm going to still go to school.
Yeah.
And like you kind of having that perspective of like, well, I can use the money to do this myself, you know? And like you decided to like leave because Jacob was going to go to Columbia too.
Yeah.
And when he saw how much it was going to be, it's such a scam.
It's ridiculous.
It's such a scam.
And they throw it in your face when you get there. They're like, well, in the film department that I was in, they were like, if you want to be making movies, go to LA. You don't want to be here, because Chicago is very commercial, big time commercial department.
Definitely.
But
like Chicago is very behind compared to New York and LA for it being one of the biggest cities in the country. They're very behind on a lot of things, like tech especially. And when it comes to like film and anything in media, I feel like it's just very industrial here. Everything else that you want to do, you would have to go to another city.
Yeah, it's weird. It's initially the exposure, because that's what they're saying. It's like, if you want to go over there, it's just because like you get to meet or get to possibly network with like these types of people.
Right.
And that's what you want to do. But it was kind of disheartening here. Of course, it's like a reality break, which is nice, because like the biggest thing that when I was like, I mean, let's be real, Columbia's got like a 99 acceptance rate or something.
Do they really?
I don't know. It's super stupid high. It's because like there's a very low graduation rate.
Oh,
you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is like what I took away from the whole experience.
Yeah.
And So I was like, I do want to go there because I did hear if you're going to do film in Chicago, it's going to be
At Columbia.
exactly.
That's the place to be at.
And I was doing Vimeo a lot in
Okay.
the early days.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like very community based now, or then. Now, absolutely not. And everyone knew each other almost. And so
Oh, wow.
I was just making videos, like almost as like the childhood videos. I
Yeah.
was doing that. I was merging that motive into what I was currently doing, which is just like art and skateboarding and just like trying to make music, or even just like using the music that I was inspired by to make a montage video of just things I like.
Right.
And I got to know everybody, and they were really sweet. And so they shout out to Steve. They invited me, name drop. Thank you. He was like, "Come out. We're doing a film festival in New York." I was like, "Okay, cool." I never been to New York. I think I just turned 18. So
Damn.
yeah, I went out
So you're
there.
getting these like real life experiences while you're young.
Yeah, it was cool. Like they had the opportunity, one aspect of the festival that Nokia, this shows like the date. Nokia, when they were still around, they had the first phone that was able to record in 1080.
Oh shit.
So they were like, "Come out, you can film with these and like make a video with it, do whatever you want with it." We're like, "Damn, okay."
Fuck it.
Yeah. And that was super sick. I was super grateful with that. And I had that in my belt. I was like, cool. Like I had this community that was almost like encouraging me to just like whatever I was putting out. It wasn't necessarily that it was like the best thing, but it was just like the act of creativity and that type of freedom can just like take you out there, like because there's nothing holding you back. There's no
Right.
restrictions really. You just kind of
Mhm.
are driven by the motive of like, I just kind of feel like making this right now. And to
Mhm.
kind of have that community was really awesome. And then I went to school, and it was kind of like, I mean, of course, the academic part of it is a little bit more restrictive, but I can't really speak so much of it because it was only a semester. But what I took from it was good because I got kind of like,
You almost got like a little bit of structure. Do you feel
yeah,
like you did?
yeah, in that portion. But then financially, that was literally kind of like the decision maker of like, they were literally
Definitely.
just want me to make a film, and I'm paying about $15,000. Well, I don't know how much it was back then, but a lot of fucking money to just get a ticket to then invest more money on making a film and stuff like that. And I was like,
Right.
can I just do that then? And then I
Mhm.
went on this little hiatus, and then I was traveling around, and that kind of actually circled back because I was taking a lot of photos at the time. And that's
Right.
what kind of started to like, hey, you've been taking all these photos. Why not start sharing them?
Right.
And that escalated into like me submitting to like art galleries around who are hosting little shows, like making zines and just like making a blog.
Yeah, just like dipping your foot in these like little mediums that you felt like I belong in here. I do stuff like this. And I actually did want to talk about your zine phase
Mm.
because I mean, zines are still pretty prominent today.
Yeah.
People love making
Yeah,
zines.
totally.
So, like back then when you were making them, like, and submitting them, how was that for you for kind of like a creative outlet?
It was cool to like have that without knowing it was an obsession, but this archival process to be like, I'm collecting my favorite things.
Yeah.
So to find like your favorite images that you had shot. So when it came to having this, what I didn't know obsession of archiving things and just collecting your favorite thing, you can put it in a book, something tangible, and so you
Right.
can share it to people.
Yeah.
And I was heavily influenced by the skateboarding world growing up. They always had a different vision of just like how to look at things,
Right.
and it was all about scouting and looking and just like going on a street you normally wouldn't go up to maybe see if there's like a skate spot. So I would take that into my photography, and then I wanted to expose myself to that world more. So there was a couple artists or photographers that were documenting skateboarding at the time, and I had found a couple blogs, and they would take skate photos, but then also they were taking photos behind the scenes, and that to me really, really like stuck with me.
You love being a behind the scenes kind of
Yeah,
person.
totally, totally.
So is that kind of how you would describe yourself? Someone behind the camera?
Totally. Yeah, yeah. So that's why I'm like the only thing I'm weirded out about me and you talk right now is the video camera right
Oh,
here.
really?
Yeah,
I
because if
do
it was
see you
just the
looking over here.
audio, yeah, I would be like, cool. It's like let's do
Right,
whatever.
right. It's
Because my
whatever.
arms are everywhere and I'm very
Mhm.
expressive with the way I talk, but there isn't much. Like I don't want to put myself out there
Right.
because I feel like, especially now with social media and everything, there's this focal point of people trying to make themselves the artist rather than their art.
Speak for itself.
Yes, exactly. So it's this like they're just trying to be like, I am the artist, can't you see?
Mhm.
And they put a lot of focus on that. And it's like, no, just do your stuff. Like it's cool. Like just
Right.
get to work and do your thing. But they're like, no. Like I'm about this. Like look at me. Like it's cool.
Mhm.
Like don't you know? And it's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I think a lot of like what social media has done is kind of, especially for artists or artists that like have started a really long time ago. I mean, not even a really long time ago because like we're still in our 20s,
Yeah.
right? And I think it's just switch this focus of like now we have to be in front of the camera. The only reason I'm doing this in front of the camera is because I feel like people enjoy watching like people's
Yeah.
expressions and stuff like that, but I genuinely like I don't really care for it specifically. That's why I feel like sometimes when I talk, I don't even think the camera's there. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm going to tell you right now. Like, just don't even think about the
I
camera
like,
being there. But
yeah, totally.
it's definitely a thing where they're like, okay, well, like I'm going to have to be perceived and people have to watch me to like love my art. Whereas like the art has to just like speak for itself. But like all these older artists, like people that did film and photography and just like paintings and stuff like that, like they existed in a time that didn't have any of this like visual archival
Yeah.
stuff. It was just like the work was just there. You go into museum and the museum was just there.
Or yeah, it was expensive to kind of have your work showcased somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah, it was like you had to like send it out or do all this stuff without like that. That's one beauty of like social media is that like you can use it as a tool to just like showcase like your work.
Mhm.
But I feel like because of the overabundance of this self-image that
Mhm.
people are seeing all the time, they're kind of
Yeah.
being like, hey, I have to like not only play the part but like look
Be
the
the
part.
part. Yeah.
And it's like
I get it.
hopefully be the part. That's
Yeah.
what you'd want. It's like, yeah, you're about that, but sometimes it's kind of like this like I'm just trying to look the part because it's like, I know the right
Mhm.
people, so I'm just going to wedge my way in.
Right. That's kind of like how a lot of people get their stardom now,
Yeah.
where it's like people look the part and it's just like, okay, I do art. And like that's when I don't want this to be controversial, but like that's when the bad art starts to come out. You know what I mean? There's a lot of bad stuff out there.
Yeah.
But just because you fuck with the person and like the person's like out there and like they play the social media game, everyone's like, okay, I'm gonna buy into this, where it's like a lot of people, like, even though you only went to a semester of college, you still have some fundamentals in there. And that's where, like, I think my higher education, where it's like, I feel like I got some decent fundamentals
Yeah.
where it's like, I'm creating things that are going to make a longer lasting imprint, whether or like if I just wasn't in school and I didn't learn these things, it's going to be kind of like a passive time. Because right now on the internet, I feel like there's a lot of like what do you call it? I forgot. I was reading this article where they were talking about people just creating things just to create things. Oh, it's like littering. It's like internet littering. Where
That's
like
cool.
people are just making anything and just
Yeah.
like littering
Without
the
substance,
you're
without
right.
any, yeah.
And there's just so much stuff out there where it's like now you have to really seep through all of the things to find something that you feel like would matter. And I think it's wild.
Yes. it's this just like it's this overstimulus of instant gratification.
Right. It's
It's all it
oversaturated
is.
at this
Yeah,
point.
totally. It's
Definitely.
this everybody sees, and it's even in like everybody's guilty, like one way or the other. If like you put something out and you start getting something like instant, like a result
Mhm.
instant from that, you're gonna reference that the next time you do that. And if it doesn't
Mhm.
happen again, you're gonna be like, what the fuck? What didn't I do right? Or like, is this
Yeah.
good enough or something? And sometimes things need to marinate, they're not gonna be an instant thing. And a lot of things aged really great
Right.
and a lot of things don't. And then that's like the make or break. Like if you
Definitely.
ever feel weird about like,
Putting your art out there.
yeah, or anything like that.
I
It's like
feel like,
trust in yourself. Like,
yeah, trust in yourself, but also I would say like just put your stuff out there. If you're good at something,
yeah.
not everything's going to be a banger. Like I've definitely come to realize like everything I put out is not going to be a banger. You're going to have good
Yeah.
times, but you're also going to have bad times, and you just have to like go through the motions.
You know what I heard was that share your stuff, because if you didn't see what someone else was doing that inspired you to do it,
Yeah.
like you might not have started it. So like
Mm,
you could be that outlet for someone. You can be that inspiration for somebody. You could be that whatever.
right.
Like with what you're doing with this podcast and merging like your lifestyle into it and just bringing you to it, people are going to be like, I'm hearing all of these other podcasts and they just don't really vibe, but this one I can really get with. And
Yeah.
so it's just this like instant thing.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. It's just like if you didn't share it, someone might not have
Who would have
gotten it.
thought?
Yeah.
Right.
So you could even be like inspiring the next great artist and you don't even know, just because you wanted to be yourself and talk with people.
Right. I have had a lot of messages talking about like this is very inspiring, that this podcast is very there's a lot of other podcasts out there, especially like we had like the Hotbox podcast really take off on TikToks. I don't know if you're on TikTok.
I am not.
Ah,
I know a lot
let me
about so I only
let me
have
find out you're
one
on the
social
Instagram.
media, and that is Instagram. I used to have Facebook. I was very late to MySpace. Growing up, I was very against that.
Mhm.
And then I finally decided when Facebook was like established and people were on Facebook, I was like, fine, like, I'll get on MySpace.
I'll
And
get
everyone's
it.
like, what the fuck? We're not even on MySpace anymore. So
Oh.
like my two old roommates, actually, like the people who let me sleep on their couch coming to Chicago when they were
Mhm.
out here in high school, they made my Facebook account and I kept the password that they had made for me until the day I deleted my Facebook.
No
Like,
way.
yeah, because I was just like, I was like, I didn't want, and this might have been like a defensive mechanism on my end because I didn't want to know what we were doing all that time, because I
Mhm.
didn't want to be like, am I doing enough or what's going on or what,
Right.
so it's kind of like,
You didn't want to be
stay
too
away. It's
immersed.
distracting. You
Yeah.
want to know some fucked up shit?
Let me know.
All right, so I'm all about self-discipline like that. So growing up, I got rid of my bed in like early high
What?
school. I didn't have I was like, I can't do this because I convinced myself that if I got rid of my bed, I wouldn't be as lazy and I'd be able to like be more
Get up
productive.
and do stuff?
Yeah.
What?
Yep. So I felt so bad because later in that half, I was in a relationship, or even just like people coming and staying over. I'm like, sorry, I don't have a bed. I would like try to lay out pillows over a blanket. It was like literally a
You're
large
giving them
dog
the
bed.
carpet
It was a
to.
dog bed. That's what it was. But the cool thing about it is that I convinced my parents. It was more or less my dad because he was a sweetheart. My mom's a sweetheart too, but like he was kind of the easy person to be like, no, I got it.
Yeah.
That to put a hammock in my room. So we found like the studs and just like screwed in these hooks, and I slept on a hammock. It was fucked up. I
What?
don't recommend that. It kind of
But
fucks
like,
your back
how
up
did you
after a while.
convince your parents to do this?
I don't know. They
You're like,
saw that.
Mom, fuck this bed. Get rid of it.
They saw, well, yeah, growing up, I was pretty difficult because I was very like, no, I'm going to do this. Fixated on that. Like, this is going to save me. Almost manic. Like, because I'm like, I'm going to do so great things after this, you know?
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. And well, yeah, that was it. Because I literally remember the day I was like, nope, it has to be done. Picking up my bed taking it to the basement and just shoving it, didn't care, like putting it somewhere that, wasn't being used, and then just disassembling. I think I had like a smaller bed frame at the time, or maybe I had even gotten rid of the bed frame. Yeah, I know, it's kind of fucked.
You were so determined.
Yeah, it's all about, as you spend time thinking about it more, it's just like this grounding. Like, I wanted to feel in control, and because I was so lazy and all that stuff, like I was like, no, like I can do this, like, but I had to do something drastic to prove it to myself. And that continues. It's kind of a little not as severe, but
it still continues, like right now in your adult life.
Totally. All of a sudden, I'll be like, it'll be something. I love drinking coffee. I'm a very like uppers kind of like, I need some stimulant, and I'll like get a coffee before work. But if I start running late because I'm thinking, oh, I got to get this coffee. And then I'm not going to have a good day at work if I don't have my coffee, because I'm not going to have energy. And that starts to spiral. I start to get mad because I'm like, why am I being crippled by this coffee idea of
that
like,
I don't
it's going to
really
make my day.
need, but I feel like I do.
So just immediately being like, I'm going to cook coffee. It's the same thing as happened with like drinking, and happened a while for smoking. It was like this whole thing of just trying to remind myself my hands are on the wheel. And it's not like the healthiest way to do it, but if you can kind of have that self-reflection to kind of remind yourself, I definitely think try it.
Yeah.
Just be like, if this is not helping me, what can I do to change this?
Right.
And just have it like slowing down and asking yourself, what do you need? And if it's like, I need to not feel this way, it's like, what's contributing to that? And it's like, it's not necessarily about the coffee, but it's about the idea that I need the coffee.
Damn, that amount of like self-awareness is insane to me. Because I think it takes a certain type of person to be that self-aware, to be like, okay, well, I don't really need this, but I know that I'm doing this.
Yeah. And I think I encourage the act of being proactive with that self-awareness 100%. I think you have that reflection, you have that awareness, but that is just like the gate. That's the entrance. Like, you have to walk through. If it requires a key, you have to look a little bit deeper, look around your environment, see what's contributing, see what might open that gate, and do something with that. And it's a practice. There's no instant result, which is like, goes back to like the social media thing of like just this instant feeling of like, that's funny, haha, swipe, or that's cool, bah, or that's but, like, and then done. But like, our life isn't that.
Yes.
And it takes so much time.
It takes so much. Like, you have no idea how many times I've been on TikTok specifically, where I am scrolling I have the timer set for, and I think it's really.
Wait, you have a timer for TikTok?
Yes, they have that integrated into their own app.
I thought you like knew yourself enough to be like, I'm setting an alarm and I'm only allowing myself like 15 minutes.
No, that they do that for you, because they have this kind of like, okay, you have a timer for yourself, so you're not on here for however long you don't want to be on here for. So I have mine for like 45 minutes. If I'm there longer than 45 minutes, they'll make me put in a password. And then after that, I can either decide like, you keep going or you don't. And a lot of the times I find myself like, I keep going.
Does TikTok, like when it's finished, does the video automatically go up, and then, or does it replay and replay and replay?
It replays and replays.
Okay, because I was thinking like, would they have that if you were like an irresponsible, I wouldn't say irresponsible, like you were a parent and you're like, I don't know what to do with my kid right now, I got to do this. So you put that in front of them, and then they're just watching all this stuff. And after a while, they're kind of like, okay, the person behind this.
I don't even know if they have like parental controls. I know like phones in general do, but I don't know if like TikTok specifically does. But I have found myself a lot in like, I'm just going to skip this 45-minute shit and keep going. And at some point, I'm just like, I'm not enjoying this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have to get out of here because this is all I'm going to see for like 2 hours straight. But that's the way that I feel like social media is crazy, and like the whole metaverse thing is getting very scary.
Yeah,
But
it's inescapable, and I'm not like trashing the internet at all. Like, it's definitely an influence of me. I'm a child of the internet. Like, I was on the internet, but I wasn't on social media right away. But I mean, I did grow up with an instant messenger, which was like dating me, even in
I didn't
internet
even have
age. Yeah,
an
so it's
instant
like,
messenger.
well, I think I would have been on the internet, but I only had that because I had an older brother. So I had like someone who was already doing that.
Who
So I was
showed
like, that's
you?
what people do, you know?
Yeah, like this is the cool thing to do. This is
Yeah,
what you're on.
yeah. It's just message boards or
Hmm.
just like one on one is computer texting.
Right.
And yeah, but no, just like going around the internet, just like finding like I still love that. Like I still like I don't know how much I believe in the metaverse right now. I think right now I have this like weird obsessive with like cybersecurity and just like the amount of data we're giving. But I
It's
love the internet.
insane.
I do love it. It's incredible. It could be such a powerful tool.
Right.
Yeah, and I
But like it really has changed from like when we were kids and then to now.
totally.
Shit is very scary. But like I would understand how like people would be very wary of like I'm not going to let my kids on this because it is really like a free for all at this
Yeah.
point. And I think that when we were kids, things were very new. Like there was like forums and stuff like that that were apart from like the mainstream social media
Yeah.
that there was at the time. But now it's just like you can find anything and everything, and it is really scary. So
It's the monetization of everything, dude. It's
mhm.
money. It's just
No, for
everybody
real.
talking about everything, and it's messed up. Yeah,
Mhm.
everyone just being money hungry about it. Did you download music when you were younger?
No, I didn't. And to this day, like I don't download music.
Yeah,
Like I do not. But
you're
back
pure.
then,
You're clean. I gave my computer so many diseases, just like
stop.
scouring the internet.
Oh my God. I think the LimeWire phase for everyone, I think that was a big turning
Hmm.
point. But I remember like the MySpace days, like that was when I first started emerging myself into like the internet and like social media. And I was
That
very young.
But I was kind of now like going back to it. I wish at least I had like a proper MySpace experience because everyone's like, yeah, I was coding HTML and I was like
Yes.
customizing everything.
Yeah.
And I wish I had that, like,
Dude,
because I knew I could have
I
contributed.
had my in MySpace, I think, when I was like 12, because I was like in sixth, seventh grade. And then I saw, like, oh my gosh, like this is a cool new thing to do. So I got my MySpace. And then when I figured out that I could like change the color of my background by like just typing in like black or like whatever the fuck, I was like, oh shit, like my brain, right? But it was a really fun time. It was a very creative time. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's where a lot of my creativity stemmed from, that like customization from it.
Mhm.
Because then I went off to go to high school, and when I was like, wow, there's like coding classes, there's like classes where I can like learn Photoshop and stuff. That's where I immersed
You
myself.
had that in high school for like Photoshop, like learning and all
Yeah,
that?
yeah, it was like digital
Damn.
media. It was like a digital
We didn't have that.
media like extracurricular class you could do. And I took all of them. I took all of the classes, and after that I finished the classes my junior year, and they were like, "Well, there's no way you can get higher on this like curriculum or whatever unless you merged with the other high school and took like computer science."
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be really similar, but it wasn't, because like there's the aspect of like creating and being like artsy on like the coding edge and
Mhm.
like the Adobe kind of side of things, and there's the other side of like coding to do like tech stuff. So when they
Yeah.
pushed me
Front
to
end, back
do,
end stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
when they pushed me to do computer science, I was like, this is going to be really similar, right? And then I went there and I was like, this is absolutely nothing like what I want to do. I damn near failed the class. I had to go to a different high school specifically for that class for me to get credit.
Yeah.
And I was failing. I had a D and everyone else was like really good. And I was like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
Right. And I copied the fuck out of like the kid that sat next to me.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just going to copy
What's his
whatever the
name?
fuck.
Let's give it to everybody.
I think his name was like,
Shout out.
fuck. He was this white guy. I forgot his name. He was just
Shout
a
out
white kid.
guy. You did Jackie great.
No, for real. Like I passed with a D. I had an F.
I hope
I
he
passed
knows.
with a D.
I wonder if he's kept
Hell
up
no.
with you.
I know he definitely has not. Like none of those kids at that high school like cared to know who I was. I was the only like transfer because it was literally just me. It was my high school. They offered me this class at the school across town.
Wow.
That school, since it was like the newer, more developed school, and it was like in the wider neighborhood, right?
Yeah,
So
totally.
they were like, we give you this opportunity. You can go and take just this one class. So I would leave 2 hours early from my high school my senior year. I would go there and then I would take this class. Everyone there was very like affluent, right? They were like all Caucasian, like they all like knew this shit. I was bad at math. From the get-go, I was bad at math, and I didn't know that computer science was going to be kind of like formulas and stuff.
Yeah,
So I went there, and I was like, damn, I'm a dumb bitch, right? Because I don't know any of this stuff. And it was all boys. There wasn't a single girl in that class, and it was just me. And I was like, no, like I'm really failing. So I just copied off the kid next to me, but that's the only reason I passed. They didn't even like put it on my transcript, I think, because since I was in a different high school,
So it didn't matter. It was just
didn't
like,
matter.
oh, maybe you can get something from this.
Exactly. And it was an AP class. It was AP computer science. So when I was like, no, I'm really going to fail this test. I'm not even going to bother to take the AP test. I stopped going, I believe, 3 weeks before graduation. And I was like, no. I stopped going, and my parents didn't know. I eventually told them, and I was like, hey, just so you guys know, I really didn't go to those classes at the end. I would just like skip and like go to Burger King or McDonald's or like do whatever other shit and stuff like that. But I definitely failed that class, but I got like a D to where like I would have just barely passed.
Yeah. Damn.
But it was a crazy time. But being a kid born when the internet was like booming, it's like a different time. Now it's like it's way far advanced, and I don't think we're going to understand how the internet is going to affect kids because it's still happening right now. And who knows what's going to happen like years from now.
It feels like there's this emotional detachment.
Yeah.
Like, because there's no, like, if you were to say some of the things you might were to say on the internet to like a group of people or somebody, you'd have a reaction, and that's like unpredictable.
Yeah.
Of course, you can kind of say that when you're like typing something out, but there's no like repercussions. There's no like you're hurting someone. There's no humanity in there, and so I feel like there's definitely a lack of.
There's like this lack of empathy.
Yes,
definitely.
Yes.
When it comes to like someone saying something to someone else on the internet, like this like internet bullying shit. Because I know, and this is something that I learned very early on when I started the pod, and we were like, I brought up the idea of like, we have to get on TikTok because like this is the place to be. It's the newest thing. It's video based. And totally. I think right now, at least for the US, I don't know worldwide, but at least for the US, I think this is the only way to be seen. Yeah. And it is the biggest way to be seen. So I was like, I'm going to go on there. I'm going to post clips and do all this stuff. So we did that. And then I didn't understand at what point some people were going to like, I saw people getting bullied on the internet. It wasn't like TikTok though. The bullying that happens there, and the amount of like
on TikTok.
Yeah. On there, it is such a toxic environment when it can be. And it's something that was kind of scary. Like the cancel culture that is happening right now.
Yeah.
I think like some of it is good, but then some of it can be very like harmful.
Yeah,
So, and
totally.
that's something that I definitely saw when there was a clip and someone said something like, wildly mean, and I was like, fuck, like how am I going to recover from this, because these people are like saying these things to me, not really exactly like the co-host that I had at the time. It was like specifically me, because it was saying, I was saying things directly, so it was like things were really tough where it was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to now deal with like people cyberbullying me, where it was like I didn't have to go through that as a kid, even though like back then I feel cyberbullying was like, remember when there was like ads like don't cyberbully and
Yeah,
shit like
totally.
that.
Yeah.
Like now it's like it's such a common regular thing
Mhm.
where it's like, I'm not gonna lie, I look at the internet and I'm just like, you guys can say things to me like you guys are not real people to me. Like you guys do not affect my like everyday life. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's a totally constructive way of approaching that. Because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of the other people just kind of remove themselves emotionally.
Right. Like
Yeah.
I understand that like to some extent, like it controls like how much money comes in and stuff like that. But at the other like spectrum, like you guys don't affect my everyday life. You
Mhm.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I'm not really gonna like pay attention to this like internet hate where it was like, I'm just gonna close my laptop and not pay attention to you because you're
D-
not real people to me.
ha- So was that like the biggest one you've had affect you where you were kind of like
I think
taken
yeah.
back from it?
Yeah, and it was like a while ago. It was definitely over a year ago and stuff. It was a clip that we posted. It was about eating disorders. There was like a very split um there was like a very split, fuck, what do you call it? Like reaction that people had to it,
Mhm.
and a lot of people were in support and a lot of people were not, and it was my first like real take with like internet hate where it was like people were like, you're a stupid bitch, you don't know what you're talking about, and then other people were like, I completely agree with this.
What what was the opposing end that like
The opposing end was like, I was explaining how like we do a smoke, or I do a smoking podcast and we smoke on here and stuff like that, and I was saying this like perspective of like when you smoke a lot and you become dependent on it and you can't do anything without smoking,
Mhm.
like especially eating, where it's like people smoke so much to the point where like if I don't smoke, I don't have an appetite.
Yeah.
Like that's very disordered eating and it's like it's not good for you.
Mm.
So that's the remark I was making, and some people were like, you don't know what you're talking about. I eat just fine. Like I can't eat without smoking, like
Uh,
this and that. And it was just a very like controversial thing. And I completely understand both parties, but at the end of the day, it's a podcast. I said what I said. It's still
it's
up. People can go back, and I'm not gonna like retract on my statement, but it's like people took it the wrong way, and I understand that like not everything I say is going to be taken well by everyone. That just comes with the territory, I
it's
think.
interesting to think that people were to personalize your comment or your just like perspective about that.
Mhm.
Because like that is definitely something that I feel like a lot of people could have in common with being like, yeah, like I have noticed, and maybe it does take some time to have some reflection. I think it's interesting that just I mean, it's common, but your comment took such a like people took it some people took it as like a personal attack
Mhm.
because of like their own lifestyle or anything like that.
Right.
And there's a lot of people I feel like that would have that similar not
That similar
mindset but just
reaction.
behavior
Right, right.
and being like, hey, I do find myself doing that, but that does take some type of self-awareness or reflection to kind of take that time to be like, because a lot of people can do that. People be like, I love smoking for you because food just tastes better.
Right.
And then the contrast is like, I literally don't have an appetite unless I smoke.
Right.
And to not just have that consideration, I feel like is that lack of mindfulness to just be like, I'm sharing the space with someone else. And just because like they don't do it like this, I think that's silly.
Right. I never at some point said like, well, you're wrong or you're right, or, what you're doing is like bad and stuff like that. It was just like people live different lifestyles,
Totally.
right? And I'm not one to say like you're living a right or incorrect lifestyle. It's just like something that I feel like I have pointed out, where it was
Yeah.
like maybe I have felt at some point where it was like I smoke, and sometimes like I feel like I can't eat until I smoke or whatever. And then I feel like personally, like this is an issue. I'm going to step back,
Mhm.
and I'm going to reflect on this and kind of like maybe tone it back, maybe take a tea break and stuff like that. So, like you said, people kind of, I think it just goes back to like projection.
Yeah. Wow.
I almost have to pee right now. Do you have to pee?
Let's do it. Let's take a pee break.
Yeah, let's take a pee break. You go first.
All right, I'll be right back.